Most people think discipline only happens in the military, but I would like to differ your perspective because I think discipline is part of life. And the ones who are disciplined and who are consistent are the men and women that actually accomplish their dreams and goals. So stay tuned as I show you how I went from being disciplined in the military to using that discipline in my business to making over $10,000 a month with just one PDF, and it transformed my entire life to where now I'm working for myself. But before I go on, I want to tell you the truth. The truth is, I use discipline to this day to run my digital business, and it is because of discipline I'm currently doing the things that I'm doing around the world because I was disciplined enough to lead over 120 soldiers as an army captain to where now I'm disciplined leading my employees to be able to make more money effortlessly while they're working at home for me. Before all of this started, let me tell you about my journey on how it became true. So I didn't grow up rich, right? A lot of people look at my life now, they look at the nonprofit that I'm doing, they look at the scholarship that I have, they think, oh man, Lusene, you probably had your mom and dad in your life. The truth is, I didn't grow up rich. I didn't have my mother, I didn't have my father in my life. I grew up in America, I joined the military, and I figured it out. So if you didn't grow up rich like me, you can actually do the things that you want to do, especially if you're in America. I grew up in Liberia, and after growing up in Liberia, I went to Zidakuta village. I lived there for 2 years. After living in Zidakuta village, I then went to Zidakuta, Guinea, I'm sorry. Then I went to Ivory Coast, where I lived in Ivory Coast for about 4 years, followed by Ivory Coast. That was when I went to the United States of America at the age of 11. I have lived through struggles people couldn't imagine. While I was in Philadelphia, my uncle kicked me out his house multiple times where I slept outside, and it was cold, right? But because I was disrespectful to him at the time, so he kicked me out, and I slept outside his porch. Fast forward to a couple years later, I remember at the age of 16 was when I wanted to commit suicide. And I'm glad I didn't because obviously I'm here and I thank God for that. But it was because my mother, my father never wanted anything to do with me, and my uncle used to tell me, hey man, your parents don't want anything to do with you, so you better be grateful that I'm taking care of you. And at that time I used to cut myself. So, you know, Lord behold, I'm here, right? I didn't commit suicide. So that's that. And then followed by that, I went to Virginia State University. At my time at Virginia State University, man, I had a grand mal seizure where I broke my left shoulder, dislocated my right shoulder, and I was in a coma. Followed by that, I ended up going to serve in the United States Army. That's how I gained my citizenship. And followed by serving in the United States Army, I later on then went to building my business to where while I was building my business, and then I was able to make over 100,000. And once we made over 100,000 in my business, that's when I created multiple businesses. I grew my investment, and later on, I freed myself from my job. This is my story. Listen, if you are stuck at your job, you don't know how you're going to get to the life that you want, watch this video. Hopefully, you get some motivation. Hopefully, you get some steps. Hopefully, you learn something so that you can actually be able to do the things that you want to do in this life. Because from 2025 and beyond, anything is possible. Remember that. Growing up in Liberia taught me one thing: nothing is guaranteed, right? There is little that I can remember about my life growing up in Liberia. It was very hard. I remember there was a time where I wanted to see my dad. I couldn't see my dad. It was my mom at the time. She was taking care of me. And then later on, when my dad came, my dad married another woman, and I was told to go and live in Guinea, right? So I went to live in Guinea. Very, very hard, very, very difficult. I don't remember anything vividly, but I do remember that I used to play soccer multiple times just to buy water, just to buy food for myself, because we would eat once a day. We would eat once a day, and we'll all eat on the bowl inside of the bowl. So most of the time when I would eat in the bowl, my older cousin would eat most of the food. So I'll probably only have like 3 to 5 spoons. So living in Guinea was very tough. So playing soccer was something. It was my way out, right? It was a way that I had to get out, and it was a way that was good for me, so I could be able to survive at the time. While in Guinea, I watched people struggle from poverty, struggle from eternity. I watched people who really didn't have anything make something. So that really stuck to me that, in life, there are people that are living in worse condition than you. So if you're watching this video and you are in a better condition than I was at the age of 6 or 7, please be grateful because God knows what He's doing. And if you're going through whatever it is that you're going through and you're not there yet, He has a plan for you. So trust in His plan, but put in the work. So after I was living in Guinea, I then moved to Ivory Coast to live with my dad and my stepmom. I lived with my dad and my stepmom for about 4 years. And then followed by that, I moved to the United States of America. I moved to Arizona. Then followed by that, I moved to Philadelphia, where I was living with my stepmother and my uncle. And it was a little bit rough. Eventually, we left and we went to Virginia, where I lived in Virginia. I lived there for about 2 years. Then my stepmom told me, hey, your dad wants you to go live with your uncle. So I went back to Philadelphia to live with my uncle in Philadelphia, where, again, like I said, living with my uncle wasn't the best time of my life. I actually hated it. I was beaten most of the time. I was abused most of the time, physically, mentally. I was cursed out. My curfew, I always break my curfew because I had soccer practice. So every time I come home after 6 o'clock, I would get beatings. It was rough, right? But I think that part of my life was necessary for me so I can be able to live the life that I want today. There were moments when I questioned myself doing that part of my life. Is everything going to work out? Am I going to be the man that I want to be? Am I going to be free? Am I going to make the amount of money that I want to make? Am I going to marry the woman of my dreams? Am I going to be the father that I never had? Am I going to attract a woman, the mother of my kid, that I didn't get, right? So those things really was going through my mind as a young teenager. But guess what? Eventually, it was all part of my destination or my journey to become the man that God designed me to be. But deep down, I'm going to be honest, I was always hungry. I was hungry for success. I was hungry that in this world, I was able to come to America. And because I was able to come to America, I'm able to accomplish my dreams and accomplish the life that I want. So if you're currently living in America specifically, this is for you. Make sure you're taking advantage of the resources that the country has so you can be able to propel to live the life that you want. Followed by that, I joined the military. When I first joined the military, I enlisted. I went to basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma in 2013, I'm sorry. It was very, very tough, right? At the time, I thought basic training was one of the hardest things ever. But I later on realized that basic training is actually one of the easiest things ever because the military teaches you about bonding with each other. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're from. It doesn't matter when you speak good English, you don't speak good English. At the end of the day, you are all one, U.S. Army, right? Now, joining the Army was one of the hardest decisions in my life. I didn't do it for glory. I did it for structure, I did it for freedom, and I did it for opportunity because I wanted to get my citizenship at the time. So I was like, okay, well, the Army is paying for your citizenship, so I might as well join. And later on, when I joined, fast forward, I had a grand mal seizure while doing ROTC. That was hard because I was a junior in college, 1 year from graduating, and I was probably like number 125 in my ROTC class back then. It was hard. It was one of the toughest things that ever happened in my life. But here's the thing. I realized that I came to America to accomplish my dream. I came to America to become the man that God designed me to be. So I didn't let that hardship stop me. Don't let the hardship stop you from your journey because it's part of who you are. The person that you are meant to be is less important than the person you become as you're going along your journey. Followed by that, I was able to rise to the rank of captain. I was able to take command for a brief moment of time. And I thank God for the opportunity because it allowed me to be able to lead young men and women in the U.S. As a military officer. But here's the thing. I learned 3 lessons. I want you guys to write this. The first lesson is clarity, right? In the Army, you don't move without a clear mission. So, hear me out. I want you to do this. In your business, what's that mission? What is that clear mission for your business? For me, my mission in business is to own equities in companies around the world, have nonprofits that are helping out youth, and most importantly, give out scholarships. Right? That's my clear mission. So every amount of money that we're making, we're helping out towards my mission in business. If you don't know your target in the Army, you're going to lose. You're going to get killed. It's the same thing in business. If you don't know your target, you're not going to be successful in business. So make sure you have a clear mission. Make sure you know your target, who you're targeting, so that you can be able to assess yourself as you go along. Lesson number 2, structures beat motivation. A lot of people think in the military, right, we're always motivated to wake up 5 in the morning. We're always motivated to do CQ. We're always motivated to, go to missions. No, we're not always motivated to do those. But because the military foundation is based on structure, we must do it because we have been called for a higher duty to be able to serve our country. It's an honor to do that. It's the same thing with your business. It's an honor to serve your clients. It's an honor to be able to find problems in your clients, to be able to help them. Because guess what? Once you do that, they're going to refer you to other clients, and other clients are going to refer you, and that is going to help your business to be able to make more money. So I'm here to tell you, make sure you have structure in your business because structure beats motivation. The last thing that I learned in the military, execution is speed. How fast you execute, how fast you take on a new idea. Once you receive the mission, you start training for it, can actually help you to feel faster. So when it's time to actually do a real life mission, you are most likely not going to have a lot of failures because you are fast on it and you feel fast, right? It's the same thing with business. In business, hesitation calls. Feel fast. When you're young, start sooner. You're old, start sooner. Here's my motto. Move fast, adapt, adjust, and keep pushing. Move fast, adapt, adjust, and keep pushing. At the time, I didn't really realize these lessons I was learning in the Army. But I'm glad I learned it, and I'm glad I can be able to teach you all in business because guess what? That is what it takes. The military really helped me build that strong structure of discipline that I now use in my business. When I left the Army, I was faced with questions. Right? A lot of people told me I wouldn't be successful outside of the Army. I wouldn't have a successful business. I wouldn't be thriving. So it was a lot of things that I was thinking about. I could have stayed at the same job. I could have, retired, do 20 years and all these different things. I could have. But I felt that my calling to do business was more important than actually staying in the Army because I've learned enough in the military to be able to take that and carry that to other things. But here's the thing. When I was in the Army, I had my business. I wrote my book, 2020, The Power of Determination, Train Your Mind and Live Your Calling. I started a Shopify store in 2019. I was making a little bit of money. Because I had that experience while I was in the military, when I started my business as a lieutenant, I quickly learned this, that I knew what it takes to be successful outside of the military. I have been trained as a military captain, and I know I have trained myself as an entrepreneur, so I know I can be successful. Then I came out with the idea to turn a PDF into an income. So I created a digital product, and then that digital product, I turned it into a 3 digital ebook, and then I had an upsell of my course. Then followed by the course, I had a one-on-one coaching and a group mentorship coaching. Once I put that in a system, go high level, and I started running ads, that's when we soared. At first, I was like, how would people buy this PDF? But then I quickly realized the amount of time that people would take to scroll on their social media is the same amount of time they would want to download a PDF and quickly read it. When I first got my $7, right, which is at the cost of what my PDF was, I was astonished. I was like, wow, people actually pay $7 for this? So then, that's when everything changed, my perspective changed. That showed me that strangers online would pay $7 to $27 for a digital product just to learn how to make money. So, what I learned was if I can do it, other people can do it. Why other people are not doing it? From that PDF, I built a system. So here is the step that you need to take notes on. I want you to create a product that solves real problems. No fluff. Real problem. that people struggle with. Step 2, I want you to create a funnel. One page, one offer, and one clear action. Simple. Step 3, I want you to drive traffic to that funnel using all of your social media. We're talking YouTube, we're talking TikTok, we're talking Instagram, Facebook, every single thing. Step 4, I want you to scale that to 100,000 and then create a mentorship and help people to replicate that. One product became 2 and 2 products became 10. That's the power of system. I went from making a few hundreds of dollars to $10,000 off one product because I had a system. But here's the thing that a lot of people wouldn't tell you. It wasn't a product that made me successful. It was the consistency and it was the discipline that made me successful. Discipline to keep creating products even nobody wanted, but I was consistent because all I had to do was find the right product that everybody wanted, and I was going to make me rich and wealthy and free myself from the military. The Army taught me discipline, and business helped me turn that discipline into a freedom. If you've been watching this video from far, I want you to hear me out. Your circumstances does not define your destiny. I didn't have a mother, I didn't have a father growing up. I grew up in Philadelphia. I was constantly told I wouldn't be successful in the environment that I grew up. I was constantly told, go back to your country as you're not American born. Whether you're in the 9 to 5, whether you're in the military, freedom is possible. But here's the thing, only if you're disciplined enough to be able to create that freedom for yourself. If you want to know how I actually built this business with my system step by step, subscribe right now and check out the playlist that I've created. Because my mission is simple. Help people like you escape the ordinary so they can be able to live extraordinary lives. I did it. And now it's your turn.